Um, but who got this letter? See, the book of Revelation wasn't written to be a prophecy, exciting comic book with really interesting pictures, you know. It was written to a group of people, many of whom were slaves. Remember, the early church and the Roman Empire was filled with slaves. There were 7 classes of slaves, 7 designations of slaves, 7 different Greek words for slaves. Many things we have today in the ancient world were slaves. Like one type of slave in the ancient world was called a therapon. That's the Greek word, therapon. Now, what does that sound like in English? Therapy. And it's done by a therapist. And in the Bible world of the New Testament, a therapist was a slave. Now, they were treated well. I could go in. I'm not teaching Paul's epistles right now, so I won't. And so these people were normal people. Either they were slaves with jobs, high jobs. Some therapists were for the emperor, and they had a real high job. Stewards were slaves, and they dispersed all the money. We would call them financial planners and advisors. But whatever these 7 church members did, they were living in what was the epicenter of the empire. They were living around the greatest display of materialism in the Roman Empire. To the most grand and glorious area of the empire, Roman Asia. So this is modern-day Turkey, you all know that. And this is modern-day Greece and the island of Crete. And there's Cyprus that's, fought over between half is Greece and half is Turkey. So this area is still geographically there, but back then it was called the Roman province of Asia. So this Roman province, let me just tell you about it. It's where the buildings, the cultures, and the temples stood most impressively affirming the wealth and power of Rome. And this elderly and weak, declining apostle named John, sitting out there on that island of Patmos right there, tells all these people living around the greatest collection of Roman architecture and monuments of achievement that, listen what he told them. Before he wrote Revelation, he wrote this. You know that verse? 1 John 2:15-17. Love not the world, nor the things that are in the world. Why? Because the world is passing away. And John was asking in Revelation what he already told them earlier. I really think 1 John is what he preached to his church in Ephesus. Remember, he was the pastor. John was the pastor of the church in Ephesus. He followed Paul's ministry and Timothy's ministry, and John slid in to the greatest church of the ancient world. And if you want to know what he taught, like 1 John 2 is an example. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him, 1 John 2 says. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life, is not of the Father. It's of the world. And the world is passing away, and the lust of it. But whoever does the will of God abides forever. Now look at this contrast. He says, look at all those temples, look at all those buildings, look at all those aqueducts, look at all those Roman legionnaires. That's all passing away. But those that do the will of God will never pass away. It's the same for us. Look at our technology. I mean, we have in our pockets, we have phones that are more powerful than room-sized computers were just 25 years ago when they started supercomputing. And you have one of the most powerful teraflop generating supercomputer in your pocket. And we just think technology is going to solve everything. I mean, if Elon Musk gets his way, his implantable chip, he's promising eternal life. He's going to download your mind. And when your body wears out, he'll move it over to another body. It sounds, wow. If you're wealthy and want to live forever in this horrible world of decay and death and disease and demons and everything, they are into it. And a lot of the Silicon Valley billionaires are buying into somehow merging their consciousness with the machines so that they can go on. God says, the world's passing away, and so is everybody not connected to me. Are you living for what will never burn up? Now, that's not a rhetorical question. We need to be answering that. That's why we're here. That's why we're studying the scriptures at Word of Life.